online. It just depends on where they are. But Kerry is from Hobart, Tasmania.
Yes, beautiful.
And
Tassie.
Yeah, good old Tassie. Yay. I'm a Tasmanian, so I'm cheering on. Now, Kerry, we've talked about a lot of things, nutrition and all that sort of thing for children in their lunch boxes and things, but really what we eat is for everyone, and we don't necessarily have to cook our food to eat it and enjoy it. We can be creative with it, how we mix and match things together and what's raw, what's cooked. You can have your dips, your cheese, your mushrooms. Some people don't like to eat raw mushrooms. I love raw mushrooms.
Yeah, I do too.
I think, raw mushrooms, when I was a kid, I wouldn't eat them.
No, I think a lot of children find the texture difficult.
Yeah, but it's interesting how you can, you were saying that the food that we eat, it's like rest, our cells regenerate when we're sleeping, but we also need that food to give us the energy to do the things that we need to do during the day. And it's the input and the output. So if you don't put the right things in your body, you can't do the things that you want to. You don't have that extra energy or the energy to do the things that you want to do. So you were talking about a variety of foods and putting food in the middle of the table instead of putting it on the plate in front of somebody so that they can choose what they eat. But having a variety, not just taking one thing because they like that and they don't like anything else. They must have something else. What else do we need to consider?
Yeah, just with what you've just said then, I don't think I'd put a must on any of it. I'd just keep putting it there. And, if you keep presenting and offering small quantities of a variety of foods, then the children, and you're eating them, you must be role modelling for them, that's really important. Then they will, over time, gradually start to eat things that they wouldn't eat before. It's just, we need to make it normal. We need to make it normal for them to see these vegetables on the table.
Yes.
And if you only get them out every, we'll try again after 6 weeks, we'll try it again today, and you bring them out and the kids are like, I don't want to, I don't like them, So, but if it's there all the time, they get really used to seeing them. Takes that must out of it.
What other things, and I meant to bring your book along today, but what other things do you have in your book to help parents or make it easier for parents to think about variety and about the types of foods that they do put in a child's lunchbox?
Okay. It's a simple 5-step plan. Look, I thought about the lunchbox cookbook idea, and there are so many out there. There's so many lunchbox pages on social media. There's so much of it out there, and I really didn't feel like I needed to add to that. I was more talking about a teacher's perspective on lunchboxes and asking parents, please, to feed the children more whole foods and less processed foods, because I know and I have seen how it can impact on their behaviour and their learning and how they feel. And because our brains are made of cells as well, we're feeding our brains. And if we're feeding our brains food that make them fire off like crazy things, the child cannot settle. And we're asking, a big part of my job as an early childhood teacher is to teach children to self-regulate. And I felt that I was asking children to do things that they couldn't do because their brains are going crazy with sugar and food additives. So and it's not fair to the children to ask them to settle down or to listen or whatever it is if their body's just jangling. It's not fair to the child.
Yeah.
to have those expectations.
So the concentration
Yeah.
to try and normalize it, is that, no, not normalize it, but try to get each child interactive in a way that they are emotionally and physically happy to do, instead of having those high sugars, high processed foods in their lunchbox,
Yeah.
and putting some raw things in there, raw veg, bit
With
of
the
dip.
fibre that slows down the digestion, because the high sugar foods, they go through their system very quickly. They release energy really fast, and then there's none. Where
And then they just go boom.
yeah,
Yeah.
even an example that shows that really clearly is the juice. If you give a child fruit juice, that goes through really quick, releases the sugar really quickly, and then it's gone. But if they eat a whole apple or a whole fruit, the fiber's there as well, and that slows down the release of the sugar into the bloodstream, and it sustains them for longer and keeps their mood and level and energy more sort of level.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't want anyone flatlining. We just don't want the great big, roller coaster thing. There's always going to be some up and down, but, within reasonable bounds. It's really important for our kids. It's affecting how they grow. It affects how they learn, and their ability to relate new learning to what they already know, which is how we build knowledge and understanding. We link it to what we already know. And, if the child's agitated and unable to settle, it's really difficult for them to access what they already know and to make those links. So it really does impact on their learning.
And it is that concentration, isn't it? And particularly when a teacher's teaching something, a particular subject or whatever it may be, and a child's had that high and now they're in that dip or that low, their concentration's gone, they're feeling a little bit lethargic.
Yeah.
So therefore they can't be bothered thinking, or
that's right.
It's not about they can't be bothered. It's just how their body's reacting to the foods that they've put in their body that's given them that high and then that low.
Yeah.
And yourself when you eat sugary foods and things like that, and you get that high, and then and all of a sudden, you have that dip instead of having that kind of level or balance all the way through.
Yeah.
And it's not about having huge meals either, is it? It's about having, I always say it's grazing like a cow.
Yeah,
because
it's presenting foods that are going to nourish a child well, having them available and making sure there's a variety. The rainbow of fruits and vegetables is a really nice one to think about. So, that can help you to make sure they're getting that variety, or at least that it's being offered. And if at the moment your child will only eat carrots and mashed potato, keep giving that, but offer the other things. That you've got to start where you are. And I just want to say that lots of people don't know much about this stuff. They've never come up against it. They've had all the marketing from the food, processed food manufacturers, and they really have believed that this stuff is the best thing for their children. And I'm just here to say that we need to be looking at packets, at the ingredients, at what's in them, the amount of sugar that's in them, and the other the ingredients in there that are not part of nature. Like if you take an apple, it's one ingredient, or if you take a carrot, it's one ingredient. But if you take a packet of something, we get the kids counting them in the Mad Food Science program, and one packet food can have over 20 different ingredients in it. A biscuit or something, and yet if you made that biscuit at home, it probably would only have 5 ingredients. You see what I mean? But they're putting in additives and preservatives so it will sit longer on the shelf without going off, and so that the flavors the flavors are manipulated so that we want more of them.
Yes.
So we're never satisfied, and we want to buy them again because we want them, we want more of them. So it's very clever. It's food science, and they do a great job of what they're doing, but it's not necessarily the best thing for us. So if we can make the biscuits or the muesli bars or whatever it is at home from whole food ingredients, then we're going to be giving our children something that's much more nourishing without the nasties that we don't want to be giving them.
But it's not only the children that are
All
going
of
to
us.
benefit. Yeah, we're
absolutely right.
all going to benefit from doing this. And it is creating awareness and making us more aware that we should be more conscious about not what we just give to our children, but what we give to ourselves, because most people's lives are very busy.
They are.
And they don't have time to think about things. I know there are some people that are so, switched on, and they prepare their meals. They know exactly what they're going to have every night for their evening meal and that sort of thing. And I'm thinking, that would be nice, but I never do that. But it's, but particularly for children, so that they can sleep better. They wake up and they're and they
just
wake
leveler in their whole life. Can I just have a very quick word here, because I can see we're going to run out of time.
We are.
One of the key things I talk about in my book is the role of parents as first educators of their children, and I'm speaking from a teacher's perspective. That when I learned that term at university for parents, first educators of their children, that was such a mind-opening thing for me. I was so excited about that, because you have this massive potential to have a big influence on your children's lives. So I talk about that a lot in my book, and about cooking with children, and about gardening, and about a whole lot of other things around ways to help your children be more successful in their learning once they get to school, by working with them at home, just in doing everyday things at home, so to build their skills. So I hope people might be interested to look out for the book and take that role on.
Also, those parents that take that role on and educate their children about a healthy lifestyle will maybe encourage other kids that don't have parents, that are encouraged to help their children look at that balance and have a healthy lifestyle. So the kids, if they get in the garden and they help grow the vegetables and the foods, and they help cook and do all that sort of stuff, can maybe encourage some kids that aren't as fortunate, and I can say aren't as fortunate, to look at what they're eating and want to learn more about it.
Yeah, we can share that knowledge and understanding with others. And we can save money by growing some vegetables at home as well, and that's getting to be a bit of an issue these days. We need, if you have got a patch of ground or some big pots, have a go at growing some things. And it's great for the kids to see that happening. It gives them the understanding that this is nature, this is from nature, this is what my body needs and can use.
But there's nothing nicer than going and getting a vegetable or a fruit from the garden, because you've grown it, and you know what sort of soil it's in, if it's had pesticides sprayed on it or whatever. But it's lovely to be able to go out and look at the things that are growing in your garden. And children can get really excited about that, because they can have their own little veggie patch, which is their responsibility, with the help behind the scenes, to grow some things and then try it and eat it, because that creates a little bit more, what do you say, of excitement and all that.
They're invested in it if they've seen it either grow from seed and pop up. And I've had people grow peas in a paper cup and actually get the little plant to the point where it grew a little pot of peas, which I think is pretty amazing, because that's not very much soil,
Yes.
So, you don't need a lot of ground to go through the process. And, you can perhaps help your family food budget as well a bit, as well as inspiring the children. It's giving the kids life skills. Education does not begin at school.
No, it doesn't.
Education begins the moment that child,
Is
lands
born.
in your lap, or maybe
Yeah.
even a bit before. So we need to really be mindful of that and aware of the impact we can have by the things we do say and think. And, we can really help our kids.
Yeah. And if anyone's looking for the book, it's by Kerry Coleman, and it is called the Superpower Lunchbox. And yeah, get it and have a read of it, because it does have some fascinating information in it, and it's worthwhile. And this is the activity book, the Superpowered Lunchbox Kids Activity Book, which comes along with the book.
You can buy those as well on the website, and I've taken the illustrations that my very clever and beautiful daughter did for the main book, and I've used those to create an activity book so that parents can talk to their children about some of the issues. The activities that are not set at a particular age range, but there's lots that you can do with your children.
Good. How can they get in contact with you, Kerry?
Through my website, www.kerrycoleman.com.au. So that's Kerry, Kerry, Coleman, COLEMAN.com.au.
Fabulous.
And yes, otherwise through Facebook or Instagram, I'm on all those places as well.
Yeah,
so,
as we all are.
Yes,
thank you so much for your time. Don't go anywhere. Thank you, Kerry. It is now time for the news, and then after the news, it's Monday Mash with Sam. I'm Faye Waterman, and this has been a conversation with Faye. I'll be back next week, same time, same place. Keep safe and be happy, and think about the food that you eat for the next week, and see what changes you can make in your life. It's bye from me now. Bye for now. That was great.
Thank you so very much.